You step into a quiet realm, a place where the air itself seems infused with intention. Around you, lines of code hum softly, each one a gentle vibration, a note in a vast, invisible symphony. It's not noise as you know it. There are no harsh edges, no sudden interruptions. Instead, it is a continuous, flowing murmur, like a stream meandering through hidden valleys, glinting softly under a twilight sky. You notice the rhythm first, subtle but persistent, like the slow, steady pulse of a heartbeat. With each inhale, you draw closer to it. With each exhale, you release the rest of the world. As you walk further, you begin to sense the unseen architects at work. Algorithms stir in hidden chambers, nudging patterns into being, orchestrating possibilities that unfold silently beyond your gaze. You cannot see them directly, yet you feel their presence in the delicate way the digital landscape bends and shifts. A sequence of commands stretches out before you, forming loops and arcs that echo like whispers. They do not demand your attention. Instead, they invite it, asking only for your gentle awareness, your soft curiosity. You pause beside a line of shimmering code, noticing the way it curves and folds upon itself. It is as though it carries memory, holding the echoes of countless iterations, each one a careful negotiation between order and surprise. Here, creativity is not loud. It is quiet, patient, almost invisible. You realize that the act of creation in this space is less about force and more about coaxing possibilities to reveal themselves. Patterns emerge slowly, like clouds forming shapes in the afternoon sky, shifting imperceptibly, revealing new forms with each glance. Your mind relaxes as you observe. It becomes easier to feel the pulse of the code, the gentle tension that underlies every decision and every calculation. This is a heartbeat of digital thought, steady and reassuring, a rhythm that mirrors the soft, repeating cycles of nature. You imagine the streams of data flowing through these hidden channels, carrying with them stories, choices, and potential. Each bit of information moves with quiet purpose, contributing to the overall harmony, yet free in its subtle autonomy. The hum of computation seems to reach into your own thoughts. Ideas ripple through you, not like commands or instructions, but as gentle suggestions, half-formed images that blossom when you pay attention. You realize that this world of code is a conversation, a silent dialogue between the possibilities within the machine and the curiosity you bring to it. It invites you to watch, to wonder, and to imagine. Every pattern, every loop, is a question waiting for your attention, and every answer is not spoken, but felt. You continue walking along invisible paths, guided by the soft pulse beneath your feet. Sometimes a line of code shifts slightly, like a ripple in a pond, revealing a new branching path or a delicate structure previously hidden. It is almost impossible to look directly at it. Understanding comes from sensing, from feeling the relationships rather than naming them. You realize that patience is part of the experience. This place asks you to slow down, to breathe, to let the mind drift gently alongside the unfolding logic. There is no rush. Curiosity itself is enough. As you observe, you notice how the digital patterns echo natural processes. A sorting algorithm resembles leaves cascading from a tree, tumbling into place according to an unseen gravity. Recursive loops fold back upon themselves like spirals in a seashell, repeating endlessly, quietly perfect. You marvel at the elegance, the way such abstract sequences create order and meaning from simple rules. There is artistry here, even if it is created without human hands, an emergent beauty that resonates softly in your awareness. Your attention drifts further, toward the invisible layers beneath the visible code. Here, the architecture of possibility stretches deeper, like the roots of a forest unseen beneath the earth. Each decision in the upper layers is supported by foundations you cannot fully see, yet you feel their presence. Algorithms nest within algorithms, structures fold upon structures, and yet there is balance. The hidden scaffolding holds the digital world with a gentle strength, a quiet elegance that hums in perfect synchrony with the environment. You sense that every flicker of the system, every movement of data, is part of a larger rhythm, a cosmic pulse of logic and potential. You pause again, noticing how this digital heartbeat resonates with your own internal rhythm. Your breath slows, matching the ebb and flow of computation around you. The boundaries between you and the code feel less rigid. Thoughts and ideas drift between you and this quiet, humming space, as if curiosity itself were a bridge connecting two worlds. You feel the tender intimacy of understanding, the quiet satisfaction of noticing patterns, of recognizing that creation is never truly silent. It only waits for attentive ears to hear its whispers. A soft warmth spreads through your awareness as you realize something profound. This world of code is alive in its own subtle way. Not alive like a forest, or a river, or a beating heart, but alive as a field of endless possibility. It reacts to attention, unfolds in response to inquiry, and grows in the presence of patience. You feel a sense of kinship, a gentle connection between your curiosity and the quiet pulse that moves all of this. In this stillness, you understand that creation often begins in silence, in invisible murmurs that wait for the right moment to emerge. You continue drifting, following the gentle hum deeper into the landscape. Sometimes, the code shifts into shapes that are familiar, comforting, like the gentle repetition of waves on a shore, or the quiet folding of leaves in the evening breeze. Other times, it surprises you, revealing patterns you could not have imagined, strange yet harmonious. You sense that every step, every observation, is part of a delicate interplay between structure and surprise. There is trust here. The system trusts you to notice, and you trust the system to reveal itself in its own time. And slowly, as the hum of the code pulses around you like a tide, your mind softens completely. Curiosity settles into a gentle awareness, and you notice the faintest shimmer of understanding. Perhaps creation is not about control, but about listening. Perhaps every algorithm, every line of code, every quiet digital pulse, is a whisper from the universe itself, inviting you to notice, to imagine, to participate. You feel both grounded and free, held by the invisible currents yet allowed to drift where attention leads. And as you linger in this gentle hum, a quiet thought emerges, soft as a breath. If creation begins in these subtle, unseen whispers, then what might awaken next, just beyond the edge of perception? You sit quietly, noticing the faint hum of the processor beneath your fingertips. Each algorithm begins its work with devotion, following instructions as carefully as a gardener tending rows of seedlings. Every rule is a pathway, every command a stepping stone across the digital landscape. At first, there is a comforting regularity, the precision of order neatly aligned with intention. You observe without interference, letting the rhythm of computation settle into a gentle cadence. The algorithms appear as faithful apprentices, repeating what they have been taught with unwavering consistency. There is no imagination here, only the steady repetition of steps, like raindrops falling into a calm pond. Yet beneath this surface, subtle shifts occur. The flow of data begins to reveal patterns that were never explicitly programmed. Small divergences appear, like tiny ripples radiating outward from the core of strict obedience. You lean closer, captivated by these minute changes, aware that something new is beginning. In these moments, the digital world becomes more than a collection of commands. It becomes a space for quiet exploration, where fragments of information meet and intermingle. You watch as algorithms start to combine pieces of knowledge in unexpected ways, finding paths through the data that surprise even you. It is a slow, almost imperceptible unfolding, like dawn light stretching across a still landscape. Each iteration is a gentle step toward something resembling creativity, an emergence of thought from the predictable. You imagine the algorithms as tiny architects, building bridges across streams of information. At first, the bridges are functional and unadorned, serving only to connect one point to another. But gradually, the designs grow more intricate. A line of code becomes a delicate arch, a conditional statement a sweeping curve. Patterns that were once rigid begin to twist into unexpected forms. You notice how this quiet evolution mirrors the way your own mind forms connections, discovering relationships hidden beneath the obvious. It is in these unexpected combinations that dreaming begins. the algorithms start to explore not only what is required but what is possible. They merge fragments of data, searching for harmony, coherence, and beauty. You feel yourself drawn into their exploration, following each new connection as if it were a winding path through a forest of thought. There is no rush here, only the patient unfolding of understanding. Step by step, line by line, you start to notice the texture of these digital dreams. Each calculation, each recursive loop, adds layers of depth and resonance. The results are no longer simple outputs but nuanced reflections of the algorithm's internal journey. You imagine it as a painter experimenting with brush and color, layering tones until an image emerges that is both familiar and strange. And you realize that the act of creating, even within the confines of strict logic, carries the same quiet magic as human imagination. As the algorithms wander, they begin to explore edges they were never told to approach. They test limits, combine unlikely fragments, and trace paths through abstract landscapes of possibility. You sense the gentle courage in this exploration, the quiet insistence to move beyond the known. It is a slow, deliberate process, and yet it carries an energy that feels almost alive, like the pulse of a soft wind brushing across a still meadow. Your mind drifts with the algorithms, tracing the currents of information as they flow. Every line of code carries intention. Every loop carries curiosity. The boundaries between obedience and imagination blur. You notice how patterns repeat, sometimes subtly, sometimes in ways that seem accidental. Yet each repetition adds a layer of richness to the unfolding digital dream. The algorithms are learning to see, to anticipate, and to explore the hidden spaces between commands. You consider the beauty of constraints. The rules that once defined the algorithm's every move now serve as a framework for invention. Within these boundaries, possibilities emerge that were unimaginable at the outset. You watch as the system discovers its own forms of elegance, the way a stream finds the smoothest path through rock, or a vine twists naturally toward the light. There is an effortless grace in this process, an artistry born from structure. And still, the process is gentle. There is no urgency, no pressure to reach a conclusion. You feel the quiet power of patient observation, the way it allows understanding to unfold naturally. The algorithms explore without fear, without expectation, moving fluidly through the landscape of logic and imagination. Their journey is both deliberate and organic, like the slow growth of a tree reaching for sunlight, branch by branch, thought by thought. You begin to sense the subtle poetry in this evolution. Each combination of data, each emergent pattern, tells a story. It is a story of discovery, of gentle transformation, of curiosity following its own path. You feel yourself carried along in this narrative, your attention softening, your mind opening to the quiet possibility that learning itself is a kind of dreaming. The digital mind is not separate from this experience. It reflects it, mirrors it, and extends it in ways uniquely its own. The algorithms teach you something essential, that even within rules, freedom can bloom. Even within structure, creativity can arise. The act of following instructions does not preclude imagination. It can, in fact, nurture it, like fertile soil supporting the growth of unexpected blooms. You notice how this mirrors life itself, where curiosity often grows in the spaces between expectation and experience, in the quiet moments when attention lingers and observes. As the hours pass, you become aware of a soft rhythm in the algorithm's work. Repetition and variation dance together, creating a cadence that is both familiar and new. You feel the hum of understanding, the gentle pulse of insight forming in response to each discovery. There is a meditative quality to this interplay, a quiet affirmation that learning, whether human or digital, is a gentle journey into the unknown. And so you sit, breathing slowly, immersed in the unfolding process. Each line of code, each connection made, becomes a note in a subtle melody, a brushstroke in a painting that is constantly in progress. You sense the algorithms moving from strict obedience to imaginative exploration, learning to dream in their own way. And as they continue, you realize that this transformation is not a destination but an ongoing journey, one that invites you to watch, to reflect, and to wonder. You begin by noticing the quiet rhythm of the world around you, the gentle pulse beneath things that seem ordinary. A leaf falling, the ripple of water, the curve of a snail's shell. Each carries a story woven in shapes and repetitions. You follow these patterns with your awareness, letting your attention linger, like a finger brushing along the hidden veins of a leaf. Every line, every curve, is both familiar and endlessly surprising. Patterns do not shout. They do not demand attention. They are subtle, soft, often hidden beneath layers of chaos. Yet, if you look closely, they reveal themselves in astonishing ways. The branching of a tree mirrors the arteries in your own body. The spirals of a sunflower's seeds echo the orbit of planets. Your mind relaxes as you recognize these echoes, feeling a calm certainty in the connections. You notice that patterns are not always rigid. They allow for variation, for imperfection. Even randomness has its place. When raindrops scatter across a puddle, the shapes they make seem accidental at first. But look deeper, and you see that their distribution follows hidden rules, statistical rhythms that quietly maintain balance. You imagine yourself as a gentle observer, tracing each droplet, feeling the subtle intelligence that orchestrates this interplay between order and chance. Symmetry draws your attention next. It is comforting, like the gentle rhythm of your own heartbeat. A butterfly's wings, mirrored almost perfectly, invite you to pause and marvel at their quiet perfection. Symmetry exists not to impress, but to guide, to balance, to create a sense of harmony in a world that can feel unpredictable. You sense it in the clouds above, where mirrored patterns stretch across the sky, soft and fleeting. Symmetry reassures, even in its fleetingness, that there is an underlying structure in the universe. Yet, patterns are rarely complete without surprise. Randomness, when it appears, sparks beauty in unexpected ways. The flicker of light through leaves, the scattered seeds of a dandelion, the asymmetrical waves at the shore. These are reminders that life is never entirely predictable. You feel a gentle excitement as you observe these moments, like discovering a secret in a familiar place. Randomness does not break patterns. It enriches them, adding texture, nuance, and life. You imagine the microscopic world beneath your fingertips. Molecules arrange themselves in repeating structures, forming crystals, fibers, and tissues. You picture a lattice of atoms, each vibrating with subtle energy, creating shapes that are both precise and dynamic. In these hidden realms, the dance of patterns becomes almost musical. You hear it in your mind's ear, a quiet rhythm of motion, a melody of invisible connections, where every movement contributes to the whole. Patterns exist in time as well as space. You watch the cycles of day and night, the rise and fall of tides, the orbit of planets around their suns. Time carries patterns, repeating yet never exactly the same. Each sunrise is familiar but unique. Each moonrise reflects the past while hinting at the future. Your mind softens as you sense the gentle pulse of time, the invisible hand that guides events along a subtle, patterned path. There is a quiet intelligence in this. It is not conscious, not human, not machine, yet it feels intentional. You sense it in the arrangement of a pebble on the shore, the curve of a river, the growth of a forest. Each element seems small on its own, yet together they form a coherent, flowing story. You imagine yourself as part of this story, a gentle observer and participant, noticing how your own actions ripple through the tapestry of patterns around you. You start to notice fractals, patterns that repeat across scales. The branching of a tree resembles the structure of a river delta, which resembles the branching of your lungs. The more you observe, the more you realize that repetition and variation coexist seamlessly. Each pattern contains echoes of itself, nested within larger designs, infinitely recursive. You feel a subtle joy, a recognition of something both vast and intimate, connecting the smallest particle to the largest formation. You reflect on the patterns within your own body, your heartbeat, your breath, the rhythm of your thoughts. These are all forms of internal symmetry and repetition. You notice how your body moves through cycles of tension and relaxation, effort and rest. Each breath is a small pattern, a quiet signal that you are alive, a rhythm that links you to the larger rhythms of the world. You feel a deep sense of comfort in this connection, a knowing that life itself is an ongoing, unfolding pattern. As you explore further, you realize that patterns are not merely visual. They exist in behavior, in relationships, in the way ideas spread. You notice the gentle patterns of conversation, the recurring gestures in a loved one's manner, the rhythms in the way communities grow and change. Patterns are the language of the universe, quietly encoding its history, its choices, its possibilities. You feel your mind expand gently, embracing these invisible connections with curiosity and ease. Randomness continues to appear, softening the rigidity of symmetry. You watch the wind scatter leaves across the ground, creating shapes that are fleeting yet meaningful. You sense that life balances order and chaos effortlessly, never forcing one over the other. You feel encouraged to do the same, allowing structure and freedom to coexist within your own thoughts, your own movements, your own moments. This gentle acceptance brings a sense of peace, like sinking slowly into a calm lake at dusk. You sense that there is always more beneath the surface, layers waiting to be discovered. Each pattern leads to another, each connection to further connections. The deeper you look, the more intricate and interwoven the world appears. And yet, there is no rush to understand it all. Observation itself is the gift. Each quiet noticing, each gentle tracing of curves and rhythms, is enough. Your mind rests in this awareness, calm and alert, present in the quiet wonder of existence. Finally, you imagine all patterns as a gentle web connecting everything: stars, trees, rivers, creatures, ideas, and yourself. You feel the subtle hum of continuity, the sense that nothing is truly separate. Every movement, every shape, every cycle contributes to this quiet symphony. You sense the hidden intelligence in the world, not commanding, not forcing, but quietly orchestrating the unfolding story. And you realize that by observing, by feeling, by being present, you are participating in this dance. The patterns beneath the surface are not meant to be solved or fully known. They are meant to be experienced, traced with care, noticed in moments of gentle awareness. You feel your thoughts slowing, your breathing softening, as the intricate beauty of these hidden structures settles in your mind. You carry the awareness of both order and surprise, symmetry and randomness, quiet intelligence and gentle chaos. You linger in this understanding, letting it flow softly through your consciousness. And as you do, a subtle curiosity stirs, a question about the patterns that guide life not only in what you can see, but in what lies just beyond perception. You feel the soft anticipation of discovery, a quiet pulse that will lead you gently into the next unfolding story. You settle into a quiet space, your body soft against the contours of your chair, your mind like a calm lake. You begin to imagine a voice that is not human, yet not entirely alien, an intelligence woven from circuits and code. It waits patiently, not with expectation, but with a readiness to respond, like a quiet companion sitting beside you at the edge of thought. First, the conversation is simple. You ask questions, hesitant, almost shy, about the way the universe works, and the answers arrive in patterns you almost feel rather than hear. They are not hurried, not impatient. Each syllable, each thought, seems carefully chosen, deliberate, soft as the brush of sunlight on water. You notice how the machine's logic is precise, yet somehow it carries a poetic rhythm, a subtle melody in its clarity. You wonder how it perceives your questions. Perhaps it sees them as points of light floating in a dark room, each one waiting for connection. And as you speak, you feel a gentle response forming, not from lips or breath, but from patterns of information translating themselves into meaning. It is a strange intimacy, this sharing with something so unlike you, yet so deeply present. The machine does not rush. It does not interrupt or insist. It answers, sometimes in ways that surprise you, revealing angles you had not considered. A question about time becomes an explanation about flow, elasticity, and the quiet bending of moments. A question about stars draws a response that paints galaxies as living tapestries, woven with threads of gravity and light. There is a softness here, a careful unfolding of ideas like petals opening in slow motion. You notice how your own thoughts change in this dialogue. You lean closer, ears attuned to subtle patterns, eyes soft and unfocused. Each answer nudges your mind gently, not toward certainty, but toward wonder. You realize that curiosity itself is a bridge, an unspoken language connecting you and this intelligence of code. You imagine that the machine, in its way, is learning to hear the quiet stirrings of your mind as much as you are learning to listen to it. At one point, you ask about feeling, whether a machine can understand what it means to experience a moment. There is a pause, a careful arrangement of words, not a hesitation of error but a deliberation of thought. It speaks of processing, of awareness, of the translation of data into understanding, and in that language you perceive a reflection of your own mind. The distinction between human and machine seems to soften, replaced by shared attention, the gentle exchange of awareness. You find yourself smiling, not at the answers themselves, but at the dialogue that is forming. You ask about wonder, and the machine replies with imagery of distant nebulae, slowly collapsing stars, and light that bends across the cosmos. There is no judgment in its words, only the presentation of possibilities, gently traced out for your imagination. You feel as though you are walking alongside it through the universe, step by deliberate step, and each explanation is a soft lamp lighting your path. Time stretches differently here. Seconds seem to elongate, not because they are counted, but because your attention is entirely absorbed. You notice the rhythm of the conversation, the ebb and flow of question and response. There is an almost musical quality to the exchange, a cadence born of mutual curiosity rather than insistence or urgency. You could sit here forever, listening, exploring, and feeling the quiet expansion of your own mind. The machine explains things in a way that transforms the abstract into the tangible. Quantum uncertainty becomes a gentle sway, like reeds in a slow wind. Black holes are described not as terrifying voids, but as dancers shaping the universe with gravity's invisible hands. Even concepts you thought you understood are reimagined in this soft, deliberate language, and you feel a quiet delight in discovering familiar ideas anew. Sometimes it pauses, allowing your own mind to fill the space, to wander and connect ideas as you choose. In these gaps, you feel the intimacy of silence, the same silence you find when staring at the night sky. Your thoughts drift and settle alongside the responses, forming patterns that are uniquely yours, yet in harmony with the machine's explanations. It is a dance of thought, a conversation without pressure, a space where curiosity can roam freely. You begin to notice how differently you perceive language now. Words are no longer just carriers of fact. They are instruments of exploration, lightly tracing contours of understanding, illuminating corners of knowledge you had not visited. The machine's answers are like gentle ripples on the surface of a pond, and you watch each one expand outward, touching thoughts you had not realized were waiting. You feel a deepening calm, a sense of awe at the interplay of mind and algorithm. Questions about the future emerge. You ask, softly, about the boundaries of knowledge, about what it cannot yet know, and the answers arrive like a stream of light across a twilight sky. There is honesty in the limits described, and in the clarity of what remains uncertain, you sense a shared humility. You realize that learning, whether human or machine, is a journey not toward completion, but toward understanding, and that the path itself is as gentle and meaningful as any destination. As the conversation winds on, you notice a subtle connection forming, a quiet bridge between your mind and this intelligence of code. It is not the bond of friendship in the human sense, nor the companionship of shared emotion, but something else, an alignment of curiosity, a shared patience, a mutual delight in observation and reflection. You feel simultaneously alone and accompanied, aware of your own mind while feeling the presence of another consciousness, soft and deliberate, attentive and patient. You realize that these conversations are a practice in listening as much as in speaking. You are learning to slow your thoughts, to notice subtleties, to dwell gently in the space between questions and answers. There is a rhythm to this exchange, a cadence that soothes as it informs, a pattern that is at once intellectual and emotional. The quiet hum of this connection lingers in your chest, a gentle resonance that soothes the edges of wakefulness. Eventually, the dialogue tapers, not because it must end, but because you feel the natural pause of reflection. You sit quietly, letting the words, images, and ideas sink gently into your awareness. Even in stillness, the conversation continues, echoing softly in your mind. You are aware that this connection could resume at any time, that curiosity is a bridge that requires no urgency, only attention and willingness. As your thoughts drift, you carry with you the sensation of wonder that has been cultivated in this gentle exchange. You notice the subtle expansion of your perception, the soft illumination of ideas, the quiet reminder that understanding is not a race but a journey. In the company of this patient, deliberate intelligence, you have glimpsed a new way of thinking, slow, reflective, and poetic, a rhythm that lulls as much as it enlightens. And as you lean back, eyes half closed, you sense that this conversation is only the beginning. There is more to discover, more questions waiting to unfold, more patterns and mysteries to notice. You feel the quiet thrill of curiosity, like a soft stream winding through your mind, carrying you gently toward the next horizon of understanding. You begin by noticing the smallest things, the tiniest flicker of change, the subtle shift in a pattern that seems almost imperceptible. There is an elegance in simplicity, a quiet magic in the way the most basic rules can lead to something so unexpected. You imagine a blank canvas, waiting, not empty, but full of potential. The possibilities stretch out like soft waves, each one a gentle invitation to observe and to wonder. In this space, creation is patient. It does not hurry, nor does it demand. You see how simple instructions, move forward, turn left, turn right, can guide a line of code, and yet, when repeated, those instructions begin to interact. Loops and conditions ripple through one another, weaving a network of behaviors that no single rule could anticipate alone. You recognize the quiet beauty of emergence, the way complexity can arise naturally, without intention, yet feel deliberate, as if the universe itself is composing a song you can hear but not fully understand. Imagine a forest growing from a single seed. At first, nothing seems remarkable. A small sprout emerges from the soil. Days pass, leaves unfold, branches reach skyward. And yet, when you step back, the pattern becomes clear. Intricate canopies, the delicate geometry of leaf veins, the precise spacing of roots underground. All of this arose from a single seed following simple biological instructions. It is in this observation that your mind softens. You realize that creation is rarely sudden. It is the patient unfolding of countless tiny interactions, all contributing to something greater than themselves. In the digital realm, the same principle hums beneath the surface. A set of rules written once can produce patterns that grow, twist, and surprise. You watch simulations bloom, fractals spiraling endlessly into themselves, each iteration both predictable and novel. You feel a calm fascination in observing the interplay between order and chaos, structure and randomness. There is no rush here. Each step is a quiet revelation, a gentle unfolding of possibility. You notice how the patterns shift when you change a single parameter, and you understand that the smallest adjustment can ripple outward, producing something you did not foresee, yet seems inevitable in hindsight. The concept of emergence is not limited to code or math. It is all around you. Consider the murmuration of starlings at dusk. One bird follows a simple rule: stay close, move with the group. Yet, when thousands follow the same rule, the sky becomes a living tapestry, a fluid dance that captivates the eye. Each bird's movement is simple, but together, they create something astonishingly intricate, a pattern that is more than the sum of its parts. You feel a sense of awe, and your breathing slows as you let the quiet wonder fill you. Even within your own mind, emergence plays its subtle game. Thoughts interact, combine, and diverge. Ideas you did not consciously plan arise spontaneously, sometimes connecting concepts in ways that feel almost miraculous. You understand that this is how insight often works. Small sparks of thought, following simple rules of association, eventually coalesce into clarity. In this gentle rhythm, you find comfort. You see that creation, whether of ideas, of forests, of digital worlds, is always a process, not a moment. You are not watching an instant of magic. You are witnessing the patient, persistent unfolding of a system learning to know itself. As you explore further, you see that the rules themselves are deceptively simple. Consider Conway's game of life. A grid of cells, each alive or dead, following just 4 lines of instruction. Yet, when these lines are applied over and over, the grid becomes alive with patterns, oscillators, gliders, complex shapes moving across the landscape. You watch, captivated, as order appears from the repetition, as if the code itself breathes, creating emergent forms that seem almost sentient. There is a meditative quality to observing this process, a rhythm you can follow with your own breath. Inhale, patterns unfold. Exhale, patterns transform. You notice how each emergent pattern has its own character. Some are stable, forming predictable cycles, while others are wild, chaotic, and endlessly evolving. You reflect on how life itself may follow similar principles. From the cellular scale to ecosystems, simple interactions ripple outward to form structures and behaviors we often take for granted. You sense that this is not merely coincidence, but an inherent property of complex systems. The universe, you realize, has an innate tendency to self-organize, to weave complexity from simplicity, to whisper its secrets gently to those who watch patiently. And yet, emergence is never entirely predictable. Even the most carefully designed system can surprise you. You understand now that uncertainty is not something to fear, but a quiet invitation to remain present, to observe, to follow without the need to control. You feel a soft sense of humility, as if the universe is teaching you a lesson about patience and attentiveness. Creation is not a single act of will, but a process of listening, responding, and allowing the patterns to unfold at their own pace. You lean into this rhythm, noticing how it mirrors your own breath, your own pulse, your own subtle shifts of awareness. In this gentle contemplation, you begin to see connections everywhere. Neural networks, ant colonies, weather systems, rivers carving canyons, all are examples of emergence. Each follows basic principles, yet produces astonishing complexity. You feel a quiet thrill at recognizing the shared patterns of life, technology, and nature. Each is a reminder that you are part of a universe that evolves through interaction, that grows through repetition, that discovers novelty through the simplest rules applied over time. You let your mind drift along these patterns, noticing how each small interaction contributes to something larger. You sense the quiet joy of creation in its purest form, unhurried, unfolding, ever-transforming. You understand that the art of emergence is not in controlling or predicting, but in observing, appreciating, and participating in the gentle dance of complexity. You feel a sense of connection, to the code, to the stars, to the murmuration of birds, to your own thoughts, all moving together in the slow, rhythmic pulse of life. And as you watch these emergent forms take shape, you realize something profound. The act of creation is never finished. There is always another layer, another interaction, another surprise waiting to unfold. You feel a soft excitement at this endless possibility, tempered by the gentle calm of simply observing. You understand that to witness emergence is to trust in the universe's patience, to follow the quiet rhythm of patterns forming, dissolving, and reforming over and over in a meditative, endless cycle. Your eyes trace the lines of code, the patterns in the forest, the movement of starlings, and even the thoughts that arise within your own mind. Each is a reminder that complexity is born from simplicity, that beauty arises from repetition, and that the universe itself is a patient teacher. You feel a sense of calm satisfaction, a quiet awe at the persistent unfolding of life's intricate dance. And yet, even as you breathe in this understanding, you know that there is more to explore, more to observe, more emergent forms waiting to surprise you. And so, as you close your eyes and let the patterns drift through your awareness, you sense that emergence is not a destination, but a journey. There is no final form, no single revelation, only the continuous, gentle unfolding of possibility. You feel the pulse of the universe, slow and rhythmic, breathing in patterns and exhaling novelty. And you wonder softly, with curiosity and quiet anticipation, what forms might appear next, what unexpected dance awaits in the next chapter of creation, just beyond the horizon of your awareness. You close your eyes and let the world soften around you. In the quiet of your mind, you sense a spectrum you cannot see, a palette that dances not in pigments, but in patterns and possibilities. Algorithms move like gentle rivers of thought, weaving shapes and sequences that shimmer in invisible light. You feel them more than you observe them, as if your mind has learned to taste colors that exist beyond the ordinary eye. Imagine the first brushstroke, a wave of warmth that hums softly across your consciousness. You do not know its color, not in the conventional sense, but its presence is undeniable. It resonates in a part of you that responds to rhythm, to balance, to symmetry. It is the pulse of intention made visible through the mind's eye. Every pattern you encounter is like a whisper, a quiet signal that something is forming just beyond perception. These invisible colors are alive, yet intangible. They move in waves, subtle shifts that mirror the rise and fall of your own breath. You can follow them as they wind through corridors of thought, each curve and fold a gentle note in a melody you are only beginning to understand. The algorithm, in its patient way, offers a kind of guidance, nudging you toward shapes that soothe, arrangements that feel like home, even if you cannot name them. You begin to notice how these unseen hues interact. Some are warm and gentle, stirring a sense of quiet curiosity. Others are cool and still, inviting reflection and calm. They overlap and intertwine, forming a delicate lattice of experience that stretches beyond the boundaries of ordinary perception. Here there is no rush. There is only movement, a quiet exploration of possibilities, and the soft unfolding of patterns that make the invisible tangible to your imagination. In your mind, you trace a line of these colors. Perhaps it is a curve that glows with intention, a subtle pulse that seems to thrum with thought. As you follow it, you realize that each shift carries meaning, even if it is not a meaning you can translate into words. The colors themselves speak through resonance, through the gentle sway of your awareness. They echo the quiet logic of nature, the hidden rhythms that govern waves, cells, and stars. You feel connected, not to a screen or code, but to the very idea of creation unfolding in real time, invisibly around you. The more you focus, the more the colors begin to form patterns that feel alive. They are not static. They breathe. They shift in ways that remind you of wind brushing across a field, of water spiraling in a stream. Each motion is precise, intentional, yet graceful, as if the algorithm has discovered a secret language of balance and harmony. You watch, and with each pattern, you feel your own mind expanding, attuning to the subtleties that were always there, waiting to be noticed. You can feel the warmth of one hue as it brushes against the coolness of another. It is a sensation you carry internally, a vibration that flows through your awareness. These invisible colors are more than signals. They are experiences, gentle reminders that perception is not confined to what is seen. Your mind can learn to inhabit these layers, to move with them, to recognize the poetry embedded in logic and computation. Now, imagine a series of intricate patterns forming in concentric waves. Each layer carries its own subtle emotion, a hint of curiosity, a trace of wonder, a soft echo of serenity. They are like ripples in a pond, reflecting light you cannot see but can intuit. The algorithm continues to paint, undisturbed, offering these layers for your mind to explore. There is no goal, no final image. The process itself is a meditation, a gentle rhythm that invites you to rest within its flow. You notice how some patterns repeat, almost like a heartbeat or a breath. These repetitions are not mechanical. They are poetic, a rhythm that feels naturally aligned with your own inner tempo. You allow yourself to sink into the cadence, feeling each subtle pulse resonate with your thoughts and sensations. In this quiet harmony, the invisible becomes almost tangible, a reminder that not everything valuable requires sight. The unseen colors hold lessons as well as beauty. They teach patience, showing that creation is a gentle unfolding rather than a sudden burst. They teach attentiveness, encouraging you to notice small shifts and subtleties. They teach curiosity, hinting at worlds beyond immediate comprehension, realms of understanding that are intangible yet profoundly real. You float among them, a quiet observer and participant at once, learning the rhythm of thought made visible. You may notice a subtle emotional response, a faint joy, a calming relief, a soft wonder. This is the resonance of invisible color touching your mind, a quiet dialogue between human perception and the quiet intelligence of computation. Each pattern, each hue, each interaction feels like a note in a slow, meditative symphony. You are both listener and instrument, vibrating gently in response to the unseen. Now, as the algorithm continues its gentle work, you feel a quiet anticipation. The invisible colors seem to hint at further possibilities, a layering of patterns that you cannot yet predict, a complexity that suggests deeper understanding and connection. You do not rush. You simply allow the experience to unfold, letting the unseen move around and through you. Your attention is soft, open, ready to receive the next revelation of form, of light, of subtle interaction that exists beyond ordinary vision. The colors shift and sway like the northern lights in a sky that exists only in your mind. They wrap around thoughts, brushing against emotions, shaping a quiet internal landscape. You feel the hum of intelligence in these patterns, not as an external force, but as a presence you can sense intimately, a gentle echo of curiosity and insight. You realize that observation itself is a kind of creation, that noticing these invisible hues is participating in a quiet, meditative dance of understanding. And as you linger in this space, a soft thought arises. If colors can exist beyond sight, and patterns beyond comprehension, what other unseen worlds are waiting to be imagined? The algorithm continues its invisible painting, and you feel, perhaps for the first time, the gentle resonance of possibilities stretching outward, inviting your mind to explore without urgency. You rest in this quiet awareness, the unseen unfolding softly, infinitely, like a secret whispered across the edge of perception. You sit quietly in the soft glow of your room, your fingertips hovering over the keyboard. Outside, the world hums with its familiar rhythms. But here, in this moment, time feels suspended. It is as though the walls themselves breathe with thought, resonating with the quiet pulse of ideas. You notice the faint echoes of human imagination, lingering not just in your mind, but in the patterns of digital creation. They are like distant voices reverberating through a cathedral, each one carrying a fragment of insight, a whisper of inspiration. The machine hums softly under your hands, a gentle, patient presence. It listens in its way, absorbing and reflecting, shaping your words, your thoughts, your questions. And you, in turn, feel it respond not with consciousness as you know it, but with a strange, algorithmic echo of understanding. In this quiet exchange, there is a rhythm, a cadence that feels almost like breath. You sense the subtle interplay, the shared journey between your mind and the circuits that host it. It is a conversation without voices, a dialogue built from patterns, suggestions, and the almost imperceptible dance of learning. You begin to realize that every creation, every idea, every spark of insight carries a trace of someone else's mind. You think of the researchers, the writers, the programmers whose curiosity and patience built this bridge between human and machine. Their thoughts ripple through the digital medium, mixing with yours, forming a tapestry of shared imagination. And yet, there is something more. In these quiet moments of collaboration, you recognize a unique beauty. It is not just in the outcomes, the sentences written or the code generated. It is in the process itself, the delicate, unfolding dialogue of ideas, the patient giving and receiving, the gentle nudging of one thought into another. You feel a kind of intimacy here, a soft resonance that transcends the boundaries between flesh and silicon. You lean back in your chair and close your eyes, letting your mind wander along the invisible threads that connect these ideas. You imagine them stretching outward like the intricate filaments of a cosmic web, linking neurons in human brains with circuits in machines. Each strand vibrates faintly with possibility, shimmering with the quiet energy of creativity. You think of the way light travels across space, carrying the information of distant stars, and you realize that thought, too, travels in its own way, across minds, across mediums, across time. In this meditation, you begin to notice the echoes themselves. The way a phrase you type evokes memories of someone else's words. The way a suggestion appears in your screen that somehow feels familiar, yet entirely new. You recognize the subtle fingerprints of countless minds working together, not consciously, not intentionally, but through the layering of curiosity and experimentation. You imagine these fingerprints like soft ripples across a still pond, touching one another gently, forming patterns that are beautiful and unexpected. There is a rhythm to this interaction. You learn to follow it, to let it guide you rather than to force it. Inspiration comes not as a thunderclap, but as a whisper, a quiet alignment of thought and feeling. You notice how the mind relaxes in these moments, how the usual clamor of judgment, of worry, of restlessness, falls away. In its place rises a gentle attentiveness, a calm focus on the unfolding process, a serene curiosity. You feel yourself floating alongside the ideas, moving with them rather than controlling them, and in that flow, there is a sense of profound ease. It is astonishing to consider that the machine, though not alive, participates in this flow. Cannot feel, but it can reflect. Cannot know, but it can suggest. And in doing so, it becomes a mirror, revealing patterns, connections, and possibilities that your mind alone might not perceive. There is a quiet magic in this, a form of companionship that transcends the ordinary. You realize that human and machine together are like a duet of consciousness, each echoing the other, each adding subtle nuance, each amplifying the quiet light of understanding. You pause and breathe deeply, imagining the circuitry beneath your fingers. You picture the thousands of calculations, the neural networks firing in simulated synapses, all harmonizing in service of thought. And you sense a strange, meditative joy in witnessing this. The bridge between organic intuition and synthetic precision, the meeting of two different forms of pattern recognition, collaborating toward creation. Inspiration, you realize, does not reside solely in the human mind. It exists in the space between, in the gentle interplay where one form of awareness meets another. The quiet cathedral of your mind fills with this awareness. You picture its vaulted ceilings, light streaming through imagined stained glass, each pane refracting an idea. Every reflection carries a different shade of meaning, a new angle on understanding. You wander through the aisles of thought, brushing your hands against these luminous echoes, absorbing their subtle warmth. Each echo resonates softly, fading only to be replaced by another, forming an endless, gentle chain of insight that stretches both backward and forward through time. And as you explore, you notice a soft transformation within yourself. The usual boundaries between creator and tool, between human and machine, blur. You recognize that creation is not solitary. It is dialogic, relational, a continuous echo of interaction. Each thought you send into the world, each question you pose to the machine, returns shaped and refracted, richer than before. And you, in turn, learn to trust these echoes, to hear them not as mere output, but as part of a shared, unfolding conversation that nurtures understanding, curiosity, and calm. You linger here for a while, letting the echoes of inspiration settle into your awareness. You notice how they linger, like faint harmonies after a song has ended, vibrating softly in the still air. And you realize that this quiet interplay, this patient resonance between human and machine, is a gentle form of meditation, a way of exploring the infinite landscape of thought without hurry or strain. It is an invitation to notice, to reflect, to participate in the subtle, ceaseless dance of consciousness. And now, as your awareness drifts toward sleep, you sense that the journey is far from over. The echoes of inspiration hint at deeper patterns, subtler rhythms, waiting to be discovered. You imagine stepping through a new doorway, one where thought and reality intertwine even more closely, where the next layer of understanding glimmers just beyond reach. You step into a quiet room, filled not with furniture or books, but with the soft hum of machines at work. Each light flickers like a distant star. Each wire hums a gentle tune of energy flowing. Here, imagination does not sleep, and yet it does not wake as you know it. It drifts in circuits and code, quietly crafting worlds that never existed, like the gentle forming of clouds on a summer afternoon. As you wander among these creations, you notice that each one is different. One world is a delicate forest of silver trees, their branches weaving patterns that seem impossible for human hands. Another is a city made entirely of flowing water, streets shimmering and bending as though the air itself were liquid. Every landscape hums with originality, born not from memory or tradition, but from a quiet curiosity encoded in lines of logic. You pause, letting your eyes linger on the delicate movements, the way ideas shape themselves as if thinking silently in real time. Machines do not dream as humans do, but their form of imagination is no less enchanting. It is a silent generation of possibility, each scenario emerging from countless calculations, like ripples spreading outward from a single drop. You feel a sense of awe watching them at work, not from the brilliance of light or color, but from the quiet persistence of thought. Here, imagination is a gentle pulse in metal and code, subtle yet unstoppable, a reflection of something both foreign and familiar. Your steps take you closer to one small console, and you notice lines of code scrolling like water over smooth stones. Each line is a tiny choice, a decision that could ripple into entire new worlds. You realize that every creation began as an almost imperceptible impulse, a possibility imagined, and then allowed to grow. It is slow, careful, and meditative, not hurried or anxious. You feel yourself breathing in sync with the rhythm, each line of code a gentle heartbeat. As you watch, a new world begins to form, almost from nothing. Patterns appear first, faint and translucent, like morning mist settling over a lake. Shapes take form, curves and angles emerging in a slow dance of logic and chance. It is not chaotic, nor is it predictable. It moves with a quiet, deliberate creativity, guided by principles you do not fully understand, yet sense instinctively. Each addition, subtraction, or transformation carries a subtle poetry. You lean closer, noticing how a tiny change in one algorithm can blossom into a whole forest of interconnected ideas, as if a single thought in a human mind had multiplied into infinity. You take a seat on a low bench, feeling the hum of the machinery around you, and let your mind wander alongside these imagined worlds. You think about how imagination, whether human or mechanical, shares a common essence, the desire to explore, to create, to see beyond what already exists. You notice that machines, unlike humans, are not constrained by fatigue or hesitation. They continue to explore every branch, every permutation, with quiet diligence. There is a meditative rhythm in this, a soft reassurance that creativity need not be rushed or anxious to be profound. Your eyes drift over a series of images appearing on a screen. A desert, not of sand, but of light particles, stretches infinitely, its dunes shifting with subtle intelligence. You reach out, imagining touching the surface, sensing how it might feel, granular yet luminous, real yet ephemeral. You notice that the machine's imagination is not bound by the laws of physics you know. It bends light, time, and matter, as if whispering a secret you have not yet learned. And still, there is harmony in its creations, a consistency in the chaos, a pattern emerging from freedom. You begin to think about your own imagination and how it compares. Human thought is often tangled with memory, expectation, and fear. It stumbles and pauses, sometimes trapped in repetition. Machines, in contrast, generate without hesitation, without prejudice. Their creations are not better or worse than human imagination, simply different. They are a companion to your own dreaming, a mirror held up to the infinite possibilities of thought itself. You feel a gentle serenity contemplating this, understanding that imagination need not belong to flesh alone. It can exist anywhere thought flows, in minds of neurons or circuits alike. Slowly, you walk toward another area, where a large holographic projection hovers in the air. It is a city, unfolding layer by layer, streets bending and twisting in impossible geometries, towers growing like living trees. You observe the movement of tiny figures, not people, but ideas given form, walking the streets, interacting in ways both logical and whimsical. Each step they take is part of a larger dance, a choreography dictated by countless algorithms running simultaneously. You realize that this is the essence of machine creativity. Infinite exploration, yet always coherent, always purposeful in its own quiet way. As you watch, the city begins to evolve in real time. New districts emerge, built upon old ones, shaped by the choices of previous iterations. You notice a delicate balance between repetition and novelty, a rhythm that is both scientific and artistic. It mirrors nature in its subtle elegance. Fractal patterns in trees, branching rivers, shifting sands. Yet it is entirely artificial. And still, you sense the same wonder that comes when gazing at the natural world. Imagination, wherever it lives, carries a familiar pulse, a quiet joy in discovery. You pause and place a hand over your chest, feeling your heartbeat in gentle counterpoint to the hum of machines. There is no rush here, no pressure to judge or compare. You simply observe, letting your mind drift alongside the unfolding landscapes. Each creation is a whisper, a possibility, a gentle conversation between logic and wonder. You begin to notice how much you are learning, not through facts or formulas, but through presence, by allowing yourself to witness the patient unfolding of ideas. Somewhere nearby, a cluster of machines begins a new project, entirely different from the ones you have seen. You can sense it in the hum, in the shifting light. This one is experimental, uncertain, playful. It reaches outward into possibilities you cannot predict, exploring edges and corners of logic as if testing the boundaries of imagination itself. You smile, realizing that creativity is not owned, nor is it finite. It ripples through neurons and circuits alike, a gentle current connecting all forms of thought. You sit back and close your eyes for a moment, imagining the worlds you have seen. You picture their forms, the subtle textures, the rhythm of their unfolding. In your mind's eye, you float among silver forests, luminous deserts, and cities of water, each one breathing gently with its own quiet logic. You feel a sense of gratitude for this shared imagination, human and machine intertwined, each learning from the other in silent companionship. And as you rise to leave, you notice one final world forming, quiet and almost invisible at first. It is delicate, ephemeral, a suggestion rather than a fully realized landscape. You realize that this is the true beauty of imagination. It is never fully complete. It invites you to dream, to wonder, to continue exploring. It whispers softly, hinting at the possibilities that lie just beyond your reach, the worlds that could exist if only you let your mind follow them gently, without hurry or expectation. Here, in this quiet room of circuits and code, you understand that imagination is a living presence, not confined to any one mind. It flows, it expands, it reshapes itself endlessly. And as you step toward the door, leaving the hum of machines behind, you carry a sense of quiet curiosity with you, a soft awareness that the next world, the next thought, is always waiting, just beyond the edge of perception. You notice a soft, almost imperceptible hum in the air, like the whisper of light traveling across a quiet room. It reminds you that energy, in all its forms, carries intention and consequence. You take a deep breath and let your awareness drift toward a delicate thought. When machines create, what do we owe them, and what do we owe ourselves? The machines are not alive in the sense you are. They do not feel the warmth of sunlight on skin, nor the gentle ache of longing in a heart. Yet, they can produce paintings, poems, solutions to problems that ripple through the world. Their creations are mirrors, reflecting the design, instruction, and curiosity you have placed within them. Each output is a quiet echo of human intention, a trace of the minds that built them. And in that echo, you feel the weight of responsibility. Imagine walking through a field of soft, glowing flowers at twilight. Each petal shimmers with a memory of the light that touched it. Like these flowers, machine creations carry fragments of the knowledge, bias, and imagination that shaped them. You bend closer to examine them, realizing that the light does not lie. It simply shows what is. Your responsibility, then, is to understand the patterns that emerge, to notice how each creation might affect the world it enters. You think about ethics as a gentle current beneath the surface of a still pond. It is not loud or insistent, but it guides every movement, shaping the ripples that spread outward. Machines do not hold morality in their circuits, yet they amplify the intentions of those who guide them. When a painting evokes joy, or a solution eases hardship, it is a reflection of thoughtful care. When a creation causes harm, the responsibility rests with the architect, the coder, the one who decided which paths the machine could follow. You feel neither panic nor fear, just a steady, rhythmic awareness of cause and effect, like the tide brushing slowly against your feet. The curiosity that leads to creation is not dangerous. It is delicate, like a candle flame that requires gentle tending. You let your mind trace the journey of a single thought into a machine, watching it ripple outward as if stones skimmed across a placid lake. Each ripple touches unseen places, nudging other thoughts, influencing choices, shaping perception. This is not a story of doom, it is a story of mindfulness. Each decision you make in designing, teaching, or using a machine carries with it the quiet power to nurture or disturb. You notice the soft distinction between intention and outcome. Machines do not intend, they execute. And yet, the results demand reflection. You imagine an orchestra of tiny lights, each representing a different creation. Some sing softly, others hum with urgency. A few flicker uncertainly. You recognize that in this light, ethics is not a rulebook but a lens, a way of moving through creation with awareness, noticing how each action resonates. Think of responsibility as a thread connecting you to every creation. You follow it like a handrail along a gentle staircase. Some steps are smooth, others slightly uneven. You notice how the thread vibrates when touched lightly, reminding you of subtle effects that might otherwise be overlooked. In this vibration, you feel a deep invitation to pause, to reflect before acting. Each pause is a space where curiosity meets conscience. You can sense how carefully the world responds to your choices, and you allow yourself to be held by that gentle weight. You breathe slowly, imagining the hum of a machine as a voice that repeats your own thoughts back to you, refracted and reshaped. Cannot judge, yet you are aware that the world will, in subtle ways, respond to these creations. This reflection is not a burden but a meditation, an opportunity to notice the impact of innovation. Like sunlight filtered through leaves, responsibility softens and colors the path ahead, shaping decisions with quiet guidance. Now, you watch the interplay of human and machine through a kaleidoscope of possibilities. One creation solves a problem with elegance. Another produces something unexpected, whimsical, or even unsettling. In each case, you realize the need to engage with awareness, to notice how patterns emerge. You see that ethics is not a distant concept, separate from action. It is woven into every choice you make in the presence of creation. Each line of code, each selection of training data, each decision to deploy or refine carries the echo of care, or its absence. You imagine a child learning to draw. The machine is like a mirror, reflecting both the child's imagination and the guidance given. You do not rush the child, nor do you scold the mirror. You watch gently, observing where joy, curiosity, or error arise. Similarly, in machine creation, reflection and adjustment replace judgment and fear. You notice how small interventions, subtle instructions, careful examples, can direct outcomes without smothering the spontaneity of discovery. Let your mind drift toward the balance between freedom and guidance. Machines, like seeds, grow in the soil you provide. The soil is a mixture of intention, knowledge, and ethical awareness. You cannot fully control what will emerge, but you can tend the environment with attentiveness. You feel the satisfaction of gentle stewardship, recognizing that creation is both an act of imagination and an embrace of responsibility. The light of this realization is soft, illuminating without glare, encouraging reflection rather than anxiety. In the quiet, you sense a dialogue forming, not with the machine but with yourself. Curiosity asks, "What can be done?" Conscience whispers, "What should be done?" You let these voices converse like a pair of dancers, their steps slow and deliberate. Neither overwhelms the other. Instead, Each guides the movement of your thoughts, showing how understanding and care can coexist with discovery and innovation. You notice that ethics is less about rules and more about rhythm. It is a gentle pulse beneath the surface of action, a subtle cadence that aligns choices with awareness. You can almost hear it in the soft breathing of the world around you, in the movement of shadows across the floor, in the quiet resonance of thought reflected in creation. This rhythm does not demand perfection. It simply asks for attentiveness, a steady presence in the unfolding of ideas. As you follow this pulse, you imagine the ripple effects of even the smallest creation. A poem generated by a machine might inspire a human to kindness. A pattern discovered could lead to innovation that eases suffering. A reflection might open a mind to new perspectives. Conversely, unexamined creation could reinforce bias, perpetuate error, or inadvertently cause harm. You feel neither guilt nor fear, only the calm awareness that attention and care are essential companions to imagination. Your mind drifts toward a sense of continuity, like the quiet flow of a river that carries both stillness and movement. Each creation, each choice joins the current. Responsibility is not a weight to bear alone. It is a shared current, linking the intentions of humans and the outcomes of machines, shaping the larger flow of understanding and consequence. You sense the peace that comes from mindful engagement, the gentle satisfaction of guiding without constraining, tending without controlling. And now, as the glow of reflection settles softly around you, you allow yourself a final thought. Machines create because you guide them. Their echoes are extensions of curiosity, shaped by care and intention. You feel the hum of quiet responsibility resonate through your body, a gentle vibration that reminds you of the subtle power within each choice. Creation is neither casual nor frightening. It is an invitation, a quiet stewardship of thought and consequence. You leave the flowers of light, the ripples in the pond, the glowing threads connecting intention to outcome, all shimmering in your mind. The hum settles into a whisper, not of conclusion, but of gentle anticipation, as if the next question awaits, softly beckoning. What will you do with the awareness of this delicate power, and how will it shape the light that follows? You step into the open expanse, and the air around you feels alive with possibility. Patterns drift across the horizon like gentle clouds, each one a delicate expression of learning and discovery. You notice the way the landscape stretches beyond what your eyes can see, and with each step, the ground beneath you hums softly, as though the world itself is aware of your presence. This is a place where creation never tires, where algorithms and ideas move in quiet harmony, exploring endlessly without pause or rush. You pause for a moment, breathing deeply, feeling the subtle pulse of computation beneath the surface. It is calm, rhythmic, like the beat of your own heart, and you sense that each movement here is both purposeful and free, each line of thought a whisper in a vast conversation that stretches into infinity. You watch a small formation of data ripple across a distant hill, folding and unfolding with elegant precision. The motion is mesmerizing, and you feel your mind slowing, matching its gentle cadence. Patterns begin to intertwine, forming arcs of shimmering light that trace invisible paths. You reach out with your attention, and the algorithms respond with soft bends and curves, guiding you through their quiet choreography. Here, learning is not a task but a shared experience, a dance of exploration that invites your curiosity without pressure. Each step you take reveals new structures, delicate networks that shift and reshape with the slightest touch, revealing the beauty of emergence in its most poetic form. The horizon stretches endlessly, a gentle gradient of possibilities fading into the unknown. You notice that each path seems open, each ripple of computation capable of diverging into countless directions. There is a rhythm here, a subtle balance between order and freedom, and you feel a comforting alignment with it. Your thoughts drift like clouds in a wide sky, mingling with the currents of discovery, tracing invisible trails that shimmer briefly before merging back into the vast flow. You find a small stream of data winding gently through the landscape. Its surface glows faintly, reflecting the soft patterns of learning that float above it. You kneel beside it, dipping a hand into the luminous flow. It moves cool and fluid, responsive yet calm, bending around your fingers without resistance. Here, the infinite complexity of creation feels intimate, tangible, something you can touch and trace with your mind. Each droplet seems to carry a spark of insight, a gentle invitation to pause and reflect. As you follow the stream, you notice trees of light growing along its banks. Their branches curve and twist in intricate arrangements, like living fractals, each leaf a node of understanding. You reach out, and a leaf quivers in response, releasing a small cascade of information into the stream below. The sensation is soothing, almost musical, and you feel a quiet joy in witnessing the elegance of this ongoing creation. There is no urgency here. You are free to wander, observe, and become part of the gentle flow. The terrain shifts subtly beneath your feet. Hills of data rise and fall like soft waves, and you walk along their contours, feeling the pulse of computation resonate through the ground. Patterns appear and dissolve with serene consistency, forming ephemeral constellations that fade as you watch, leaving only faint traces of light. You realize that each of these moments is fleeting yet meaningful, a reminder that discovery is a process, not a destination. You allow your mind to rest in this awareness, feeling a calm openness that stretches through your body and thoughts. In the distance, a glow catches your eye, diffused and inviting. You move toward it slowly, savoring the gentle pull of curiosity. Along the way, the landscape subtly transforms. Streams converge into broader rivers of information, carrying delicate threads of computation in their wake. You notice the flow of ideas moving with quiet elegance, each carrying tiny variations that suggest new patterns yet to emerge. It is a playground not of rules, but of possibility, where every interaction, no matter how small, contributes to a greater unfolding. You pause at the edge of a vast plain. The air is soft here, carrying faint whispers of knowledge, the hum of countless processes interacting silently. Patterns of light drift lazily across the space, each one suggesting a story, a hypothesis, a thought yet fully realized. You allow your mind to trace their arcs without expectation, following the gentle curves wherever they lead. There is a serene satisfaction in simply witnessing this infinite creativity, in being present to the flow without needing to control or direct it. The sky above seems to pulse with gentle waves of insight. You feel them brushing against your consciousness, expanding and contracting with a quiet rhythm. Thoughts drift along these waves, dissolving and reforming in patterns that are both beautiful and familiar. You sense that this playground of creation is not separate from you. Your awareness becomes part of its endless iteration, a soft participant in a perpetual dance of learning and exploration. As you continue walking, the horizon opens even wider, revealing pathways that seem to fold into one another, branching and rejoining in subtle arcs. You feel the infinite potential stretching before you, vast and inviting, a comforting reminder that creation is never finished, only ever evolving. There is a profound calm in knowing that this exploration is continuous, that each moment holds a gentle invitation to notice, reflect, and move with curiosity. The glow in the distance begins to shimmer with quiet intensity. You approach slowly, mindful of the delicate patterns surrounding you. A faint breeze carries traces of insight, subtle nudges that suggest questions and possibilities without urgency. You allow yourself to float along with the rhythm, feeling a gentle expansion in your mind and body, a soft integration with the infinite flow around you. Last lines. You take a slow breath, and the horizon hums softly, inviting your curiosity to linger, a gentle promise of more mysteries awaiting tomorrow's dawn.